What's up, everybody? And welcome in to another episode with the lawyer you know. And today we're going to be looking at Charlie Adelson's sentencing hearing. We're going to hear from some victims, would be my guess, some members of the Markel family. I have not watched it myself, so we're going to watch it here together. And then will Charlie Adelson make a statement? Does he have anything to say? And what are the judges feeling on this case and on Charlie Adelson and the whole saga itself? Will he make a comment because of all the ongoing cases? And he's presiding over Donna Adelson's case. So will that affect the comments that he made? Has he been watching Judge Newman and other judges that potentially have more cases coming? And what they say in sentencing, while it may be appropriate, can shed light or make it look like the appearance of impropriety of some sort. So all of that and more today on the sentencing hearing. We're going to see from Georgia Koppelman. We're going to see Daniel Rashbaum, all the usual suspects here on this case. So let's get into it. Hit that like button if you guys haven't already. And we're going to continue to follow this Adelson Markel saga as justice continues to be served as they go down the line and try to make everyone pay for their part in the conspiracy against Dan Markel. So let's jump in now to this sentencing hearing.
Does your client wish to make a statement, or will you be making any argument on behalf of counts 2 and 3?
Both of us will be making a very quick statement. I'll make a quick argument, and Mr. Adelson would like to make a very quick statement.
He'll be given.
So we do know Charlie Adelson will be making a quick statement. The lawyer is going to be making an argument on counts 2 and 3. We'll probably talk about that when they get there. I don't know if they're arguing they can't be consecutive or whatever it may be, but we will follow along and see what everybody has to say.
The opportunity to do so. First, we will take the victim impact statements. If the parties are intending to sign into the Zoom, you may do so. Just make sure your devices are on mute. More problems.
I'm just skipping ahead till we actually get to the statements.
Good morning, Mr. Markel.
Good morning, sir.
I believe Mr. Markel and Shelley Markel. Scott, expecting.
One more.
So it sounds like there are 3 statements that are going to be made today. I think it's Markel's mom, dad, and sister, I think. But let's listen to what they have to say.
I was about to ask that question.
Judge, I think we're ready.
All right. Good morning. At this time, we are going to start with the victim impact. I understand you are going to provide it today on behalf of the family.
Yes, thank you.
You may speak when you're ready.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Phil Markel. I am Dan Markel's father. Dan, my only son, was born October 9, 1972, in Montreal, Quebec. During that time in Quebec, husbands were not allowed to actually be in the delivery room during a child's birth. However, since the obstetrician was a very close friend of ours, I was allowed to experience the most amazing of moments, the birth of my son. I will never forget the emergence of his head, and then those shoulders of an NFL football fullback, a boy of 10 pounds. There I was, holding in my arms this gift of life, my life. From the time he was a child, my son had tremendous energy, intelligence, and great warmth. Dan had a vibrant, fun-loving personality and lived life to its fullest. Danny loved to socialize, dance, cook, entertain, and play sports, and dedicated himself wholeheartedly to everything that he did. He always looked to do his utmost to improve and achieve better results in every activity that he did. This desire of improvement and commitment to excellence was a defining character.
I do think that it's important in these things, as sad as these sentencing hearings are, to bring some of the joy and the life that Dan Markel lived and was a part of and how he affected other people's lives is important for the judge to hear. I'm sure he knows it already from the other cases, from the other trials, but each time justice is served for somebody that is culpable in what happened to Dan Markel, it's important to reiterate some of these things so that the world can be reminded as to who Dan Markel was and what he meant to these people in his life.
I remember taking Danny skiing up the hills of the Laurentian Mountains. He rode up the mountain between my legs, holding onto the T-bar, and then coming down the ski hill, yelling with great joy, "Faster, Dad, faster!" Then, as he grew a little older, he played hockey at the local park. To improve his skating skills, he requested to take a speed skating lesson with a local coach who was from Russia, and he had a reputation of being a very tough coach. Dan persevered, and after every hockey lesson, he came off the ice with a red face, totally out of breath, because he always stated.
And if you want to slow it down, if it's moving too fast, hit the gearbox on yours, the settings, and you can slow it down however slow you want to. But we're going to listen at this speed to get through the whole hearing in the amount of time that I have. So we're going to keep working through it. And this is Dan Markel's dad speaking if you've just joined.
At the age of 13, Danny developed the idea that he was going to Harvard University for his college education. He discovered that the acceptance requirements for Harvard were not only good grades, but also work for the community and charitable work. To achieve these goals, he revived his high school's newspaper. He became the newspaper's editor, the business manager, and performed charitable deeds and volunteered in the community. After years of hard work and determination, Dan was accepted to Harvard. He graduated from Harvard magna cum laude, went on to study at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem for 1 year, and then earned a master's in philosophy and political theory from Emmanuel College at the University of Cambridge in England. He returned thereafter to Harvard Law School to earn his law degree, and went on to become an extremely successful lawyer, influential legal scholar. Dan served as a law clerk for a federal judge, worked as an associate at a prestigious law firm in Washington, D.C., and then secured a prestigious teaching position at FSU College of Law. In a few short years, Dan became a full tenured law at the age of 41, quite unusual. Dan co-authored a book and published many articles in highly regarded law journals and newspapers like the New York Times. Dan's work was influential, and he gave lectures and presented at universities around the world. Although Dan was fond of his Canadian roots, he was very dedicated to the FSU Law School and the Tallahassee community. He was recognized as a scholar who contributed and made a difference in the world. While Dan's career was important to him, family meant everything to Dan. Dan's marriage produced 2 boys, Benjamin and Lee, the world and the love of his life. Dan arranged his entire life around these 2 boys. He would arrange his teaching schedule, travel plans, exercise, activities, all around his desire to spend as much time as possible with his 2 boys. He would meet them for breakfast at their preschool. He would sit in the middle of a circle with Benjamin and Lincoln and all the other classmates and tell stories, read or sing songs as they ate breakfast. Benjamin and Lincoln were his pride and joy, and meant absolutely everything to him. Dan made sure that he and the boys came to Montreal and Toronto to attend every family affair and visit with all the extended Markel family, including grandparents, uncles, aunts, and many numerous cousins. Despite the distance, Dan felt that the boys had to know and be a part of to make sure that he.
It's also important to not lose track of the importance of family and the juxtaposition between the Markel family and the Adelson family, and what family will do for each other, and which family did things the right way and did things the wrong way, and which family still has those 2 boys under their somewhat control at this point. And will that be the end result for the Markels? Is that something that they're also fighting for in this process? I mean, obviously, feels like the answer is a clear yes to that.
He and the boys participated in the Tallahassee community. They were involved in the local synagogue and Facebook. Dan left home at the young age of 17 to go to Harvard, but he always came home for summer vacation, holidays, and all family functions. Danny and I, despite the fact that we lived quite far apart, regularly communicated by text, email, and phone calls. Despite the physical distance, as time moved on, we grew ever so much closer. At Dan's suggestion, we would plan to talk and have a meal together. At the appointed day and time, we each would prepare our meals, set our tables with a tablet in the middle, and over Skype, we would sit together and enjoy each other's company for a couple of hours despite the actual distance. Dan's life was abruptly cut short, and he was forever taken from me, his boys, and the rest of our family, and all his many friends and colleagues. My life has been a total disarray to Dan's murder. Many nights, I wake up in the middle of the night in a terrible sweat, with thoughts of Dan's murder and all that has happened. There is not a single day in my life since Danny's death that in one way or another he does not enter into my thoughts. And I miss him with all my heart. I'm constantly reminded of Dan's murder and his absence. When I meet new people, the topic of discussion always comes up when they ask whether I have children. How do I respond? It is difficult to put into words the heinous acts that took Danny away from us, the unthinkable pains that I must live with every single day. Losing a son or a daughter is something I wish nobody should have to experience. It's not in the order of nature. Danny continue to hope and pray for justice and return to normalcy of seeing and playing a vital role in the lives of our 2 grandsons, Ben and Link. It's been a number of years since I last wrote a feedback statement, sharing how Danny's death has affected me. Despite our persistent efforts, we still do not have a real relationship with Daddy Son's family.
Despite their consistent effort, they still feel like they do not have a relationship with Dan's kids.
Visits are limited and very controlled. For 6 years, we were denied any and all visits with the boys. In the last 2 years, I've been permitted 60 to 90 minute visits. This is really painful. And I feel like
I don't know.
not only have
It's freezing.
I lost my son, but I have effectively lost 2 of my grandkids as well. Even their family names have been changed from Markel to Adelson. While we work hard to help introduce a new bill in the state of Florida known as the Markel Act, which gives grandparents important rights, unfortunately, our relationship with Ed and Lincoln has not been materially improved. As this bill was coming to fruition, there was a lot of negative publicity in the press and media about Danny's ex-wife, Wendy. In my opinion, Wendy was focused on improving her public image, and as a result, extended an invitation to us to Ben's bar mitzvah. Ruth and I were invited to attend only the ceremonial part of this important stage in the Jewish boy's life, and we were not invited to participate in any reception typical of this celebration. But this invitation opened the door to one of the limited visits described above. In order not overwhelm Ben and Lincoln on this important day, we asked to arrange a meeting before the bar mitzvah in order to make things easier on the boys, who we hadn't been allowed to visit in years. We were able to arrange a brief 90-minute supervised visit with Ben and Lincoln, and a few weeks before the bar mitzvah. However, immediately after our brief visit, Charlie was arrested, and Wendy rescinded our invitation to the bar mitzvah. At the time, she said that they were going to either postpone or completely cancel this bar mitzvah ceremony. Neither of those happened. Excuse me.
Take your time, sir.
Instead, my understanding is that the Adelsons went on to have the bar mitzvah ceremony and party, all without the Markel family's presence or participation. Missing out on this important moment in Ben's life was incredibly painful. After so many years without Danny, we had hoped to make progress in forging a consistent relationship with his son, but this still has many challenges. This is the year that Lincoln turned 13, the age of bar mitzvah. As yet, we have not been informed of bar mitzvah, nor if we will be invited to participate in this very important time of Lincoln's life. I have very little hope that we will be allowed to participate in this important life cycle event. Dan's murder brought his life abruptly to an end for no sensible reason, and has affected.
And there's nothing this court or this sentence can really do to affect that. Their ability to be in the boys' life, to do a bar mitzvah, to, have an impact on their lives right now. But Don Adelson coming into the fold, if Wendy Adelson and Harvey Adelson come into the fold, that opens up more opportunity. Now, they still have to be able to prove these cases beyond a reasonable doubt. There still have to be a lot of things that happen before then. But I think that's ultimately the Markel grandparents. That is their ultimate goal throughout this process. And I can understand why they think justice isn't fully served unless they get those boys. Because think about it. If what you think of the Adelson family is what has been proven, at least partially so far with Charlie Adelson, what's been alleged against Don Adelson, and so on and so forth, you wouldn't want your grandkids in that family either. And we'll see what evidence is there to actually prove that.
A countless number of people. The legal community is deprived of Dan's wisdom and ideas, which make the world a better place. Dan's students are deprived of the experience of having Dan as a brilliant professor and caring mentor, showing them a path. Dan's colleagues can no longer benefit from Dan's friendship, insights, and scholarly discussions and debates. Ruth and I have been deprived of our son, who has been taken away from us so suddenly. Ben and Lincoln must go through life without their father, who loved them with all his being. The boys have been deprived of their father's entire family after Dan's murder. We have no idea of what these 2 boys know or have been told about Danny's death. I truly believe that they have from the ages of 3 and 4 years of age to the present day. I also have no idea what the boys know of us, the entire Markel family, our history, etc., and especially how much we all love them and how we wish they were active part of our family. Both Ruth and I are approaching 80 years of age. At this moment, we are healthy. but one does not know what tomorrow brings. The wheels of justice turn very, very slowly, but so far we're very grateful that they're still turning. We're very grateful to Tallahassee law enforcement, to the state attorney, and all their staff.
He says we know it goes really slow, but we're still happy that it's moving. And he makes a good point that they're not getting any younger, and ultimately they want time with their grandkids. They want to invest in them. They want to make sure they know their history and the part of their family, and just that they love them. Do they even know that? And again, these sentencing hearings are the opportunity to talk about stuff like this. It's not relevant to guilt or innocence, but the pain caused by the defendant who's been convicted of these crimes is something the judge can consider when sentencing the defendant. Now, I think we all know what the sentence is going to be, but it's still therapeutic and important to hear this.
To all our relatives and friends, including the hundreds of Danny's friends and colleagues around the world, for their constant support over these long 10 years. To all the podcasters who work hard to keep alive this unbelievable story. We are still waiting for Benjamin Lincoln to have a more normal relationship with the Martell family as we wait in pain and anguish. The Adelson family, in particular Charlie Adelson, has been a major cause of our heartbreak and the murder of our son Danny and the loss of our 2 grandsons. I have suffered tremendously, and we as a family continue to suffer. It is satisfying to see justice being done, and it would be appropriate to ask for the maximum sentence for the perpetrators of Danny's murder. Thank you. Today is a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Markell. Was there anything else that you wish to say as a part of your victim impact?
No, sir.
Ms. Kappelman?
The court, as Your Honor, received those and had an opportunity to review them.
I did. I was able to review the letters. They were also a part of the pre-sentence investigation packet, which will be filed in the court file as well.
Yes, sir. Nothing further regarding victim impact.
What is the state's argument with regard to sentence, at least?
So there were letters. I guess we're not going to hear from more. We just heard from Dan's father. I think others have spoken at other sentencing hearings, but it is important to get it out and have somebody represent the victims in this case. So I am glad we were able to hear that.
The concerns counts 2 and 3.
In regards to counts 2 and 3, Your Honor, we are seeking the maximum sentence. We're asking for consecutive 30-year sentences on both of those. I have prepared a score sheet in reference to those. May I approach?
You may. Have you already showed the score sheet, Mr. Rushbaugh?
So, but I'll.
Thank you. Does the state have any further presentation to make?
The only other matter.
Go ahead.
The only other matter, Your Honor, is that in reference to cost of prosecution, we've been attempting to gather up some of the necessary financial paperwork from the FBI and TPD and my office as well to see if we can come to an agreement with the defense on what cost of prosecution should be ordered in this case. We have not been.
And it's actually a collectible defendant. Most criminal defendants that get convicted can't pay the cost of prosecution. Maybe Charlie Adelson can. So it's important to get this number exactly right or some kind of agreement, and they can kind of, quote unquote, negotiate with the defense on what will they agree to, and will Charlie Adelson actually pay that off? We'll see.
Been able to do that yet. So I would ask for Your Honor to reserve that issue for 90 days. It's possible, as I said, we can reach an agreement on it, but if not, I would ask for a hearing sometime around 90 days to make a determination about cost of prosecution.
Mr. Rauschbaum, do you have any argument to make on behalf of your client as to counts 2 or 3?
Judge, we understand the situation. We just ask that those counts be run concurrently.
Very well. Mr. Adelson, I'm going to give you the opportunity.
Not much of an argument, but he just said they should run concurrently. She said they should run consecutively. Whatever. The judge is going to do whatever he's going to do. But let's slow it down now to one-time speed, normal speed, so we can hear what Charlie Adelson has to say, because I think it's his time.
To make a statement if you wish. You do not have to speak. However, this is your opportunity if you choose to do so.
We all know he's going to appeal. So with a pending appeal or coming appeal, you'll still have to be careful about what you say, but let's hear what he has to say.
I do.
You may stand.
Same. I would just like to say that I maintain my innocence.
Short and sweet, nothing that's going to be held against him. No surprise. Like we said, he's very smart. He did a good job on the stand. Wasn't enough. Jury didn't buy it. But at the end of the day, he hasn't made a ton of missteps himself since being in the courtroom. Now, the recordings and the code words and the texts and emails and all that and running his mouth to other people is a different story. But I maintain my innocence is about as vanilla and something that's not going to hurt you that you say in your sentencing. And that's all he had to say, it seems like.
Well, please rise. I'm now going to pronounce the sentence. With the jury having found you guilty of all three counts that you were charged with in your indictment of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder, I am going to adjudicate you guilty of all three at this time, and you are going to be sentenced as follows. As to count one, the first-degree murder count pursuant to section 782.04 and 775.082 Florida statutes, you are sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of release or parole.
No surprise there, but is he going to run these two concurrent or consecutive? That kind of gives the indication as to how the judge feels about Charlie Adelson in this case. These are the conspiracy and the solicitation charges.
As to count two, you are going to be sentenced consecutively to 30 years in the Department of Corrections for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. As to count three, you are going to be sentenced to 30 years in the Department of Corrections consecutively for solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
So double tap the max there, triple tap the max, I guess, technically. Consecutive, as bad as he could give him. That gives us an indication. Will he make a statement? There's a few minutes left. Let's see what else the judge has to say.
The credit for time served that applies in this matter is how much?
597.
597 days will be applied as credit for time served in this case.
So almost 2 years into a life sentence plus 60 years.
If the clerk could please read all fees and costs that would apply as well.
$2,100 of the fine pursuant to Florida Statute 775.083, $105 of the 5% surcharge required by Florida Statute 938.04, $20 of the court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.06, crime stop trust fund, $3 of the court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.01, subsection 1, criminal justice trust fund, $50 pursuant to Florida Statute 938.03, crimes compensation trust fund, $225 pursuant to Florida Statute 938.05, county criminal 5, 938.9, with a total of
Assessment as. Mr. Rauschenbaum, is there any lawful objection for you to raise to the assessment as announced by the clerk?
No, Your Honor.
Those amounts will be assessed at this time. Ms. Kappelman, I will reserve 90 days of jurisdiction to address the cost of prosecution in this case. By statute, the state is entitled to the 100.
So they're going to deal with the cost of prosecution later. She has 90 days to get it dealt with. The judge said he's going to keep jurisdiction, meaning he's the one that's going to make the call, not an appellate court or a higher court, somebody like that.
But this is in excess of the 100 is what you're referring to.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. 30 days to appeal both your conviction and now your sentence. Mr. Adelson, you are going to be fingerprinted today. And from here, you are going to be sent to the Department of Corrections to begin serving your sentence. Mr. Rauschenbaum, if you please can timely file the notice of appeal so that way there is no issues regarding any review of the conviction itself. Does either party have anything further to raise to the court before we finish for today?
Nothing from the state.
No, Your Honor.
We are in recess. Mr. and Mrs. Markell, have a good day. Thank you for being available so you can provide your victim impact statements. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So he made no statement, the judge. He didn't ream Charlie Adelson. He didn't tell him what a horrible person he is. He didn't tell him he hopes he has nightmares about this at night. Interesting. Maybe it's because he's still overseeing Don Adelson's case. Maybe this is the way this judge does it. I don't know. I can ask around Tallahassee and try to find that out. But that's pretty interesting to me that he didn't have any comments to make. And I like it. I respect that call. I think it's the right call because I think the Adelsons and their attorneys would try to use it against him if he said anything like he's got some kind of bias or prejudice against them. So I like that he did it this way. There's still at least one more Adelson coming, maybe more. So I think to keep it above board, keep it clean, nobody can make any arguments that he's against the Adelsons. He just gave the sentence. He told me what I needed to know on how bad he thought Charlie Adelson was and how guilty he thought Charlie Adelson was based on the life plus 30 in consecutive terms. So that's as bad as he could have given him. So he did it the legal and lawful way with the sentence, told us what he really thinks without actually even having to say anything for his comments at the end of the sentencing hearing. If you guys have questions, make sure you throw them in the comments. I'll take a look at them later. I appreciate you joining me for this. Hit that like button on the way out and make sure you don't forget to subscribe to our page. We're this close, 1,500 subscribers away from 300,000. Didn't think we'd ever get here. So I appreciate everyone that joins us, hangs out every video, asks questions, leaves comments. Thank you so much for being along this ride with us. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. And don't forget to check out the Lawyer You Know podcast with new seasons dropping every quarter. If you have a case you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, The Lawyer You Know.